Greetings, my friends. Welcome to the next episode of the Mint Mob Podcast. Jason here, joined by my buddy Alex across the pond over in Germany. We're going to jump into what's going on in crypto today, catch up with our project, Goodfellas NFT, of course, and then anywhere else we decide to roll as we cruise through the internet. Alex, how are you, man?
Hey man, I'm great. Happy to be here again. Watching the markets closely as always, but still doesn't like there's not too much to talk about because still a lot of sideways movement. There are other banks that disclosed their spot ETF holdings. Seems like as we get closer to the bull run, more and more banks are actually getting in. But yeah, as I mentioned, we have a lot of sideways movement right now. Still, Bitcoin is at 62,000, so I'm still in that range. What I've seen, what is maybe quite interesting, is that Bitcoin whales are accumulating at a pace never seen before. And yeah, that's interesting because like the whole crypto market is kind of panicking. The especially the private investors and these whales are buying. So yeah, what do you do? Do you keep buying?
Yeah, every chance I get, I'm gonna throw a few bucks into Bitcoin, Solana on the dips, maybe even a little ETH if it comes way down. But primarily Bitcoin and Solana are where I am sort of dipping a toe. I was following what's going on with the charts a little bit this morning because it's kind of funny to see people get upset, or maybe not upset, but depressed or down a little bit when the market comes down after the halving cycle, because the truth is this always happens. And I found an article that was written on the 12th, which I guess was yesterday, depending on where you are in the world, that's titled Bitcoin Repeats 2016 History Perfectly Amid $350,000 Price Prediction. Okay. And basically what they're saying is that Bitcoin today, its price action and its chart looks exactly like it did back in 2016, which was predictable in that it dropped below a certain threshold where people would be triggered to buy. And people are basically in that same spot. And it basically is indicating that this low 60s sort of trajectory that Bitcoin's been hanging around in is going to be the best and last opportunity to purchase Bitcoin before the actual run up and the peak. Because remember, the run ups and the peaks always happen anywhere from 6 to 9 months afterwards, after the halving. It's not before. And I think part of this, of course, is in response to the miners having to readjust their business model because their revenue gets cut in half. So they're going to have to actually sell a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, with accumulation still happening, with like you said, big banks announcing their holdings. I think last time we talked about even the holdings that different governments around the world had, and surprisingly, the U.S. was one of the biggest holders, probably through confiscation. I think smart people understand that this isn't going away, and the time to accumulate is when the dip is happening, and that's right now. It's probably not going to get much cheaper unless we have some sort of crazy supply shock. So yeah, I mean, I'm just buying a little bit at a time on every little dip, and just gonna wait. I mean, 6 to 9 months from now, we'll know the truth. If the cycle holds as closely as it has in the past, then Bitcoin will be at least six figures, maybe 175,000 to, according to this article, 350,000 at the peak of the bull market cycle, which they're projecting early 2025. So, we'll see. I think it's interesting, and if history holds, then there's a lot of smart people accumulating right now for sure.
Yeah, definitely, because you know, especially on social media, no one is right these days. It can pump to 70K today, and the bulls will be happy and shout on X like, "Hey, we've told you," and then the next day it dumps to 60, and the bears will start cheering. But yeah, it's accumulation, as you mentioned, and we will see where it goes. I think it will be pretty volatile this week. I think we got PPI numbers on Tuesday and CPI numbers on Wednesday. So let's see what happens. As you mentioned, we need some patience now. Um, people just want to read pump or dump. They can't bear seeing markets going sideways. So yeah, we have to get through this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the market's going sideways. I think people forget is the accumulation phase. And so, I mean, people talk all the time about how volatile the market is, or any market, but especially the crypto market. Oh, the market's so volatile. You can't trust it. You can't put your wealth there. Well, when the market goes sideways, you're reminded of how important that volatility is, because the volatility is what creates the opportunity, especially if you're a trader, right? If you're trading the cycles, buying the lows, selling the highs, buying the lows, selling the highs, the sideways motion is your opportunity to accumulate and start doing some of that as the volatility comes back into the charts and into the markets. So, I mean, I think right now is a time where people should just start, being a little bit more patient and start that accumulation phase, because it's the accumulation phase that leads to the big jump, and you're not going to be able to time the big jump exactly right. So forget that, just go ahead and start DCAing into some of the sideways movement on what you believe in, and then wait for the jump. Like, you got to get in front of it. Like, we talk about this a lot. You got to get in front of the move. Sure, you might get some small moves here at the bottom, but the big move is the one you really want. And so you want to be in front of that. So if you believe in the Bitcoin story and you believe that the alts are going to follow it, the Solanas, the Ethereums, now is definitely the time to start accumulating.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. What I've been reading lately for some time, like I think I read about it like a few times, that there is a new scam going on in the crypto world, and some guys actually lost a pretty big amount. I think today I read about someone who was losing 72 million in Bitcoin,
Whoa.
and this works like this. So the guy who actually wanted to transfer his Bitcoins made a test transaction to his wallet. And then immediately right after that transaction, another guy, the scammer, actually makes the same transaction, and somehow, I don't know how he does it, but he somehow copies his wallet, and only like changes one or two digits. And yeah, it seems like a lot of people are just copying their wallet IDs from their transaction history. And yeah, that's what he did. And he sent over like $70 million to that wallet. And yeah, a pretty bad case. Could that happen to you? Do you double check when you send a bigger amount?
Yeah, I almost always double check when I send a larger amount, but I still don't understand how you could do that. How did he duplicate the wallet? I don't understand.
Yeah, I have no idea how he did that, but from what I read is that he has almost like the same wallet, but especially like the first couple of numbers and then the last ones, because when you send to another wallet and you use like I don't know, use like Xverse or anything else, most of the times you have like the first couple of digits and then there is like point or and then you have the last ones, and yeah, that's how we did it. I don't know where you have a service that provides the possibility to I don't know, to create the wallet that you want, but somehow it's obviously possible. And what he did is like the guy who got scammed. What he did is that he of course went to law enforcement and he wrote on chain. So you're able to write messages on chain, and he wrote to that scammer and he was like, okay, man, you won. Keep 10% as a bounty. I know that 7 million will change your life, and you will be able to sleep well. And surprisingly, in the end, he got his money back, and it looks like he even sent back the full amount, because there were like some guys. I don't know if they are like crypto related or if it's some law enforcement company. They somehow managed to get the IP addresses who led to Hong Kong, I think.
Hmm.
And yeah, seemed like that guy somehow panicked and then sent all the money back. But yeah, it's crazy, the crazy crypto world.
Oh, that's pretty wild. Yeah, I just pulled it up while you were talking because I hadn't heard of this. So I'm just kind of reading the article as you're talking, or at least skimming over it. It says, what are they calling this? They're calling this an address poisoning scam. Let's
Yeah,
see.
right. Yeah.
They make let's see, what does it say? Address poisoning scams are carried out by thieves who make spoof accounts of their victim's online crypto address, which they use to send a small amount of currency to the victim in hope they will accidentally send money to the fake address later. Because blockchains are blah, 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 blah. Let's see. It doesn't really say how this happened. I'll have to look at it a little bit more in depth. I'm curious. I don't know why you would just randomly send $70 million to an address that popped up on in your wallet. I mean, if it's me, I'm like copying and pasting exactly everything over. I'm not going to trust an address book or something like that, you know. But yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this and see exactly how it works. I'm not sure I understand, but that's a tremendous amount of loss if someone is someone is taken advantage of.
Yeah, especially if you're willing to give away 10% of it, still like 7 million would be crazy. But yeah, I've also seen that there is some way to, like, if you get some kind of malware onto your computer, and um, it seems like it's even possible that this some how was it? I'm not even sure. I think if you go ahead and try to copy your wallet address, it somehow changes that address to something else, and then you paste it, and then your money is gone. But yeah, I mean, there is always a good and a bad side about crypto being like crypto is, like if you send money, it's gone forever. There's no way to get it back through any kind of centralized institution. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's a crazy world. We have. I think there's nothing like crypto that has like so many scams.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. I can't even imagine that. But yeah, I mean, if you're sending 70 million, I mean, I don't know. Maybe this guy's just, or this group of people or this business is just so wealthy they don't really care. But like, I'm checking every digit on on the account,
Yeah,
on
especially if
the.
even if you send like $1,000, you tend to check like every single digit. But that guy just copy paste
Yeah,
70
it's like
million
it's
gone. I
70
don't.
million. Yeah, who cares? No big deal. It's crazy. But it's nice to know there's people out in the world who can afford to lose 70 million and not blink and, not even worry about double checking the address like 5 or 6 times. Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah, I have actually seen a crypto project that got exploited, and the scammer somehow managed to exploit the staking contract, and he took all the tokens from staking and dumped them on the markets, and he has like 2 million, I think, on his wallet, and he's just keeping it on the wallet. He cannot do anything with it because as soon as you go to some kind of exchange, you'll get exposed. So yeah, I'm not even sure if crypto scamming is still, if it makes sense for people in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna, I mean, obviously, if you've got a plan to scam that much money, you've got to have a plan to exit the chain with it, or else it doesn't do you any good, right? So you've got to be able to sort of run those funds through some sort of, mixer or scrambler, and send them to a bunch of different wallets so that it's almost impossible to track, or you're just basically screwed because at some point you will be exposed. I mean, that's the beauty of the public nature of the ledger, I guess. But wow, unbelievable. Let's let's put it out there that we hope that doesn't happen to anyone. Hopefully none of you guys listening have been a victim of that, but hopefully you're being super smart and super careful when you're sending, and you're not holding all of your big holdings on something that's always connected to the internet, right? Like, make sure that you've got some sort of security in place.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing I read today, it was actually a headline somewhere here. Here. The greatest trader Wall Street has ever seen, Roaring Kitty, is back. In 2021, he made over 50 million on the GME pump he initiated. After 3 years, he's finally back and ready to. Um, yeah.
So something happened with your audio there. Are you still there?
Yeah, I actually just got a call. But yeah, I'm good. Did you get what I said?
It kind of cut out there for a second. Say it one more time.
So there was actually a post about the quote, greatest trader Wall Street has ever seen, Roaring Kitty, the guy who initiated the GME pump back in 2021. And yeah, he's finally back after 3 years and ready to pump our backs. And it's because he just made a little meme post, and the GME stock surged 110% today. Stock trading was even like halted for a fifth time. And yeah, short sellers have lost approximately 1 billion.
Wow. Yeah, this is funny. I just pulled the timeline up. It looks like he's just he's just posted a bunch of garbage. Let's see, what's he got on here?
It's just crap.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing here. Like he's just hinting, at different things, just memes. He's got Ferris Bueller on here. He's got scenes from movies on here. Lots of cutting and lots of blades and blood type things happening. I'm not really sure what he's trying to communicate, but I guess his followers have taken this as a sign from God that something magical is about to happen, right?
Yeah, the question is if that guy has actually any kind of plan, because like coming back after 3 years, I think he knew that his post would have some kind of impact. I'm not sure if he expected that much of an impact, but yeah, it's crazy because that guy who actually managed to pump that stock back then like so much. I mean, imagine if he called just a random coin today. It's actually so much power in the hands of some meme guy.
Yeah, so if we go back in time and look at what actually happened with GME, like how was he? Do you remember how he impacted that specifically?
You mean back then in 2021?
Yeah, like he had a group of followers that he was basically, pushing to do certain things, right? Like to trade certain ways, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not even sure if it was on X back then or on Reddit. I feel like when I read about GameStop back then, it was more related to Reddit. But yeah, that guy was actually telling people like, hey, there are so many hedge funds trying to or betting on GameStop to go down. So let's try to initiate a little short squeeze here and everyone buy as many GME stocks as you can. And yeah, it surprisingly worked out pretty good. And yeah, he made tons of money on that. A lot of people made a lot of money. Hedge funds lost a lot of money. And yeah, now he's back.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I've seen a lot of these groups pop up where, you're in a Telegram group or something with some random anonymous person, right? Because obviously most of this stuff is illegal. But, you bring in, you're sort of crowdsourcing your influence. You're basically saying, all right, let's get a bunch of people together and we're all going to do all of this at the same time. We're all going to buy at this time, and then we're all going to look for this number, and then we're going to start selling at this time, right? And you can take a small cap stock or token or whatever, and you can really move the market when you've got enough people. And it seems
Yeah,
like, it sounds like a good idea, but on some level, obviously, not everyone can get out at the right time, and not everyone can get in at the right time. So not everyone can win, but I keep seeing this pop up as some sort of strategy that people have. But of course, if you're the head of if you're the tip of the spear and you're the one calling the shots, obviously you're going to get your stuff in and out at the right time. And if there's enough people following along, then of course you can move the market any way you want. So, but this is highly illegal. Just FYI, like front running the market is particularly a heinous act, right? Especially if you're just like raping the market. Like that's all this is. Like, in order for this group to win, someone else has to lose, and that's not really what you want to be a part of. I think at the end of the day, I've seen this a lot with the meme tokens as well, which I can talk about in a second. But the GameStop thing, man, that's pretty wild that someone took down a major publicly held stock. I had forgotten about that. That was all the way back in like 2021. It was like 3 years ago, wasn't it?
yes.
Amazing.
I
Amazing.
mean, yeah, it's crazy. But as you mentioned, these callers, it's actually pretty interesting because I've seen such a group on Telegram as well, and there was that one guy who actually has like I think 60,000 follower or members in his Telegram group, and he just goes ahead and keeps like posting meme coins,
Mm-hmm.
especially like on Solana and Base and what was sometimes it's even ETH, and it's crazy because it's actually so like easy money for him because whenever he calls something, it goes up instantly and then it drops to zero.
Yeah.
And he just has to buy a little amount of these coins before he calls them. And I'm not even sure if he buys them or if these projects actually provide tokens, for marketing purposes. But yeah, it's actually printing money for them because they just have to call these tokens. Sometimes they go up, sometimes they don't. But if they go up, they keep posting them on Telegram and they are like, hey, that made 5x, that made 10x, and these guys get FOMO and try to get it next time. And yeah, as you said, it's highly illegal, so no, not recommended to do that. But yeah, there's a pretty big amount of people making money like this.
Yeah, I was on a Spaces the other day, again, just doing my random tour through Twitter or X. I keep calling it Twitter. I was doing my random tour through X Spaces, and there was some Spaces caught my eye. It was something to the effect of, like a big dollar headline, like how so and so's making, I don't know, 50x, 100x returns or something like that. So I'm like, all right, I got to see what this is all about. So I pop in there, right? And the guy who's leading the Spaces is anonymous, of course, but he's got many anonymous accounts. And so the questions are, okay, well, if you made all this money trading these meme coins, which everyone thinks they're going to do, how did you do it, right? Like, what was the actual process? And it was funny because he was actually willing to tell you step by step what he did. And I thought it was very cool that he was honest enough to do that. So this is one benefit to being anonymous. He can't be held responsible. So he's just like, here, this is how it works. So he went into the space, and just FYI, like, this is all illegal in normal markets. And this is why these guys are basically anonymous. And this is why it doesn't work. So let me just lay this out for you. Okay. So he comes into the market with this idea that he wants to, 10x, 50x, 100x his funds. All right. So what he does is he gets into the Telegram groups and starts promoting specific meme coins for specific developers. And he starts to win them over and earn their trust. All right. And this is common. It's just basic networking stuff, right? But again, it's X and Discord and fucking, whatever it is. It's all anonymous, right? It doesn't really matter the platform. So no one really knows anyone. But if someone anonymous is willing to promote your stuff and you're trying to get your stuff out there, then you're going to notice that and you're going to be grateful for that, regardless of whether or not you know who it is or not. So what he does is he wins their trust, and then they incentivize him to keep doing it by giving him a pre-mine of particular tokens. All right. So now this token is not public yet. This person's going to get a pre-mine or an upfront allocation of this token. All right. And now this account, this anonymous account that he's using over here to promote the token, is affiliated with this group of people who are pushing the token. And now they're working together, right? So now they're sort of working together to collude the market and lead the market in a specific direction. And so there's all this hype, all this push, all the, promises of free this and the promises of 50x that. And it just continues to grow and snowball in the world of FOMO until they release the token. And then when they release the token, the people who have already held it and who are already holding it immediately dump that on the buyers, right? And so now they make their 50x or whatever, and they're done. That anonymous account goes dark or goes silent, and then they're on to the next one, right? And this is, again, extremely illegal in the real world of, say, stocks, for example. But here in the crypto world, this is happening every day because it's moving so fast. Regulation can't keep up. And there's no way of knowing who these people are or even what jurisdiction they're in. And even if you know that, they're probably hiding behind some sort of, firewall or IP address obfuscation device of some sort. So it's almost impossible to get these people without investing quite a bit of money to find them. So if you're a regulator, it's almost like, what's the point, right? And so then they go in and they just repeat the process with the next token and the next token and the next token and the next token. Okay, so this all sounds great. It's like, okay, this guy made this much money, but until you get to the part where it's dumped on the new buyers, that's where the problem is basically exposed. Because if you think in terms of, win-win relationships and what's good for me needs to also be good for you, then at every step in the chain, this is a win-lose situation. One person's going to win and one person's going to lose. And this has to be the case in all of these situations. So if you start participating in relationships that are guaranteed from the beginning to be win-lose, then you're most likely going to lose, especially if you're not part of the dev team or you're not part of the promo team and you didn't get some pre-allocation of the token. The chances of you doing well with that are very, very small. Now, if you're smart and you don't give into FOMO and you sell for a small gain, great. But the average person who comes in there, at the moment of release and watches the token fly and holds it and thinks that it's going to be this great long-term thing, that's the person that's going to get screwed every single time. And so one of the people on this call was like, I made 960,000 on this, this past year doing this particular, scheme or what have you. And all I did was I put $100 on every meme token that came out. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, let's assume that you can afford to put $100 on every meme token that comes out. And then you can afford to spend all of your days watching the charts, and you can afford, the time that it takes to manage all of these different things. And you can somehow manage to time everything and get out okay. All right, well, it's fantastic that you won, but the same holds true. Like, in order for you to win, someone else had to lose, and that's not a sustainable market. When a business wins, a consumer wins. Otherwise, the business goes away, And when you start having this sort of one person dumping on another person thing, it's not sustainable. It creates a negative reputation. It makes crypto look like a bunch of clowns, and thieves, which, if we're being honest, that's what the market is primarily composed of. And the average person gets screwed and then goes away. And what becomes a tool for them to escape mediocrity and escape their terrible financial situation has now created a worse financial situation for them. So on some level, you have to ask yourself, do you want to be part of the problem or do you want to be part of the solution? And unless you can verify the team, you can verify the people promoting this particular token or service or whatever isn't just in it for themselves. They didn't get some pre-allocation of the token. They're not going to get some pre-allocation of the token on launch day. Unless you can verify all that, there's no way of knowing if you're just not contributing to the problem. So for me, I'd just rather not contribute to the problem. I'd rather help people instead of hurting people, right? And I think if people just took the time to cruise through some of these spaces and start thinking through the relationships and how the relationships work, is it win-win? Is it win-lose? And do I want to be a part of a win-lose situation? Am I happy with my 960 so long as it comes to me and somebody else got screwed? Am I happy with that? Okay, well, if the answer is yes, you're probably going to be on the wrong side of history. But you might be sleeping well at night, but you still did the wrong thing. And so I think people just have to get to this place where they understand, it's not about me. It's about, expanding the market in a win-win fashion. And, who knows when that's going to be. But I think if people just pay very, very close attention, you can see that your odds of winning on a meme token are extremely small.
Yeah, but I feel like the sad thing is that people are so used to being scammed in the crypto space. Like, if people invest in a meme token, for example, they invest like $500, and then they check the charts and everything. They check the Telegram group, and then they see like, oh fuck, they rocked. Like they're like, oh damn, I got fucked up, and then they move on to the next one. And imagine if you had a guy in real life, a real person who came to you and were like, hey, give me $500. I can guarantee you that investment will make like 50x. And if that money was gone, you would probably like hunt that guy and try to somehow, I don't know if you try to get your money back, but you'd definitely hold him responsible for what he does. And yeah, it's so crazy that the crypto world is like full of so many scammers, and people are almost like used to it, and they don't even care if they lose money.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think people care. I think that you're right, though. Like, the more often it happens, if you choose to stay in the market, it's almost like you're accepting it, I care if I lose money, but hey, you know what? It's just part of the game. People always pop up and they're like, well, do your own research. you know, we're all grown-ups here. Do your own research. Okay, well, it's impossible to do your own research when everyone's anonymous. It doesn't make any sense. You're not really researching anything. What can you possibly research? You can't get someone's track history. You're not going to get their real life results. You're just going to get whatever they put forth in the market. So it's not really possible to do your own research. And people forget this, right? So, whether someone loses or wins, I think in crypto is largely just gambling. Like if you're gambling, if you're, playing the token market, you're basically just gambling, and that's fine. I don't have anything against someone wanting to gamble, but you have to understand the game that you're playing, right? And I mean, I think the people putting out this trash, I think these people should be the ones that are a bit more responsible because, at the end of the day, they're the ones who are basically dictating whether or not someone new in the marketplace has a good experience or a bad experience. And I'm not saying that they should guarantee their chart forever. That's not possible. But what I am saying is that they should guarantee that they're above board. It's like, okay, we're doing things the right way. And, we're not going to get rich quick tomorrow, but we're building this thing and we want you to come along for the ride. And the promise that I'm making you is that we're going to do everything in our power to build it. But the issue is that doesn't trigger the FOMO psychology, right? Because no one really wants to be in it for the long term. They just want a quick hit today. They want to snort the cocaine today and have the high and then move on to the next high tomorrow. And that's just not the way real value is created. So I think on some level we've been spoiled in thinking that this is supposed to be the reality. And we forget that, oh shit, it actually takes a long time to build something that's worth something. And, the faster we can get back to that, the faster these crypto scams go away. But these guys who purposely and anonymously will literally tell you on a Spaces, this is how I made my money. I pumped and I dumped on you, follow me. That's like an abusive spouse who's beating up his or her spouse and the spouse just keeps coming back for more. It's a sort of a psychological deficiency. Don't come back to the person who's beating you. Leave and get on to a better situation. And of course I can't control what people do and wouldn't want to, but on some level people have to realize that that's the sort of psychological syndrome that they're experiencing.
Yeah, come to think of it, it's actually pretty funny that these callers actually think they can evade responsibility by writing, do your own research at the end of every post.
Yeah, exactly. Do your own research. I'm anonymous. Okay, well, how do I research you? Well, I don't know. I'm anonymous, but you can do your own research.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Exactly. Like, how do I research that 7K market cap coin?
It's so crazy, man.
But yeah, let's maybe jump onto our little project and talk a little bit about the Artist Incubator release coming up on May 21st. We've already announced that the new artist that we have for Little Incubator is going to be Daria, known as Darius on social media. She's going to be on Spaces with us on next Friday. So make sure to join us. And yeah, we are open to any questions. And yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to that drop because I always have to compare it to the last one we had, and we've seen, like many people joining us and coming in, and people who loved Maria's art and everything. Now we have Daria who's not really having her own community besides like her Twitter followers. So yeah, let's see how things work out. I mean, the first reviews we actually got from our people regarding her art were pretty good. They really loved what she did. I feel like the art that she has done for us is still a little different to what she has done before. But yeah, couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always cool to bring awesome stuff to life. So I'm really stoked and looking forward to that. Absolutely, can't wait to get it done. But I'm even more excited to sort of hear her take on her life and her art and how she got to be where she was. I mean, I really love the stories behind the artwork. I think that's what brings a lot of value. And I think that's something that people really appreciate. And one of the things that's great about Daria is that she's not anonymous. She's basically posting photos of herself almost every other day. So she's not out there trying to hide from anyone or get over on anyone. And I think that's to be commended and certainly something that, we want to support here at Goodfellas NFT. Absolutely.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Looking forward to that, and maybe for the um, finish here, we can. I don't know if you've seen Chaz's question in the ticket that he wrote, but I'll just read it out loud for you, so maybe you have the answer here. Wait, give me a second. Ah, here we have it. I also wanted to ask in private, what are the IP rights for the artwork? We have the bosses, the Soul Collection, and the 21s. I have to assume that the 21s are not full IP rights, but the other two are, or is it just the bosses? I'm putting together all of my full IP assets so I can use them in a project coming up and want to make sure that I put the correct ones in there. Thanks so much. So, what can we answer him?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the short answer is that unless it's just some off the charts crazy commercial project that has far reaching consequences, that you do have IP rights in anything that we put forth. That's kind of our whole spiel. If you buy from us and are part of the community, we want you to be able to enjoy your artwork any way you see fit. So I don't think there's any conflict there. And of course I didn't see that question, so I'm glad you brought it up. But yeah, we can definitely clarify that. But yeah, IP rights across the board is certainly something that we want to make sure that our holders have. And when we're talking with artists and we are signing agreements with them, we're asking that they sign over the IP rights to us as part of the process. So so I don't think that's going to be something that we have to get too granular about, unless again it's just some massive commercial project, and then of course we want to have some control over how the IP is presented. But outside of that, I think it's pretty much free reign at this point, and we need to do a better job of communicating that. Obviously, I think we need to get clarity on what collections are covered and which ones are not, and which ones we're actively pursuing. So that's on us, and that's a fantastic question. But yeah, definitely as part of being a community member and holder, we want everyone to be able to have access to IP rights for their pieces. That's really the whole point of it.
Yeah, definitely. We've been putting a focus on that from the very beginning. I know people are not always going on the website and stuff like that and re-listen to everything we said. So yeah, maybe we can make like a little, I don't know, Discord channel like clarifying that as well. And yeah, that's great. So I think we are good for today. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think we sort of ran the gamut there for a bit. But yeah, you said so. All the bosses are out for the most part. Everyone who's submitted has received their bosses on Solana.
Yeah, right. All the bosses are out, and yeah, I'd like to mention again, the window never closes. These bosses belong to you guys as long as you hold the boss. So yeah, you can still continue submitting wallets if you haven't done that yet, and we'll get your boss.
Definitely, yeah. Okay, so bosses are out. IP rights we're going to talk about a little bit, which we covered, and then we've got the artist incubator coming up with the spaces on Friday with Daria. So that should be cool. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much going to be it for this week. Obviously, we've got some stuff happening behind the scenes, but probably not ready to release that sort of stuff just yet. But yeah, I think we're pretty much good, man.
Perfect, man. So this was it for today. Thank you everyone for listening again. Make sure to join our spaces next Friday. Make sure not to get scammed by address poisoning. And yes, see you next time, guys.
All
Bye
right,
bye.
guys. Take care, guys.